24.
24. This one, the topic is relationships.
You're getting right to it, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm getting right into
No dilly-dallying.
it.
They're talking about
Is that talking about what?
drinking ages in Soviet Ukraine or anything.
What is that? Was the last topic was drinking age in Ukraine?
At least we did at one point. We did.
No, the reason I thought about this, okay, and I was like, oh, next time we have a podcast, we need to record this because this is what I want to talk about in specific of relationships. This is not really one word to describe it, but it becomes very apparent just over the Valentine's Day is coming up, right? And so our two children are in a relationship or trying to be in a relationship. And our little one wanted a Valentine,
Yeah.
like really bad. She'll never listen to this, so we can talk all we want. and everybody else has a Valentine, and she wants a Valentine, and blah 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 blah. Right? And then she has narrowed down to the three boys that she likes at school, and then she's like, yeah, if they ask me out, that would be great. And then I thought, okay, so what is your take on this? And it became very apparent that her idea behind having the Valentine was based on the status and how she would feel about having Valentine. Her personal self-worth or like her personal status, or maybe even how she would feel good that she has a Valentine. And it had nothing to do with any one of the three boys, really, or even the one boy that she likes the most. And I pointed out to her, I'm like, how how does this Valentine's Day? And I think by the time this podcast publishes, this will be after Valentine's Day. Because I think
Yeah.
we have like 2 or 3 that are scheduled that we haven't posted yet. Right?
Yeah. I think so.
So this is a couple of weeks after the Valentine's. But, the relationship situation still stays the same. And so then, it is obvious for me, having been through what you and I have been through, to realize that when an idea of someone else is solely there for their personal whatever, self-gain,
Status
symbol, pain body appeasement, whatever that is, I would fair to say that most of our relationship, if not all of our relationships, until you have done some looking and deep searching, are solely there not through the genuine application of those relationships, but how those people make us feel and make our life better and make, it is all about us. And then those people in our lives are there to facilitate whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't, it would be difficult, I think this would be a touchy subject to say that is a wrong relationship. All of those relationships, but let's be honest, that's all the relationship we are ever having is a wrong relationship. And I know that's judgment to say something is right versus wrong. But if you want to address honesty, if you want to be in the honest relationship with yourself, and then us actually see everyone around you for what they are and not for what they can offer to you, that is the only honest relationship you could possibly have. Having everyone for what they are and judging them not for what they're doing to you or not doing to you, and thus making them an accessory to your whatever. But actually having a genuine relationship with yourself and then having everyone else be there genuinely as themselves.
And that's a good way to word it, is that everyone in everyone's relationship, and this was me for my whole life too. What is, the relationship is an accessory to the story of my life, an accessory to
you.
the play that I'm going through.
Yeah. And I'm not saying mine relationships were not that way too. Mine relationship were
Yeah.
that way too. I would, I'm not. This is not like a pompous statement, but some of mine were, but most of them weren't. And then I would get really, really hurt when the obviousness of my status and everybody else's relationship would come out. Right? If here's what it comes down to: if you are the type of a person who doesn't use other people for your own self gain or your own uh, pompousness or your own like status symbolness or whatever, then it's very difficult for you to see through other people. Like if that's not even part of your ballpark, like
Hmm.
if that's not even something that you do, you get blindsided by even the idea thereof.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was in that situation most of my life. Most of my life was me being blindsided to once it became super, super obvious to the fact that I was an accessory to somebody else's life. I'm not, I did not bring this topic up to make you feel bad about your relationship with me all of your life.
Oh no, I'm good.
No, so I just, I think it is obvious that is, right. We have,
It's endemic
yeah,
in society. That's, I mean, I don't think I realized that there was another way to a relationship. I just thought that's what it was. Is two people get together and they each make the other person feel good about themselves, and that's what a relationship is. And to the point where it's almost each other's jobs to like s- you know support and right. What I'm describing, of course, is codependence, which
but codependence has a wide range
right,
of interpretation. In
right,
Annabelle's case, it's not codependence.
right. Hers is. I think it's. I'm torn between how much of it is so that she feels special because, let's say, Bob. His name is not Bob. Let's say Bob wants to be her Valentine, or Bob and let's say Chad. It's not Chad. Are both competing to be her Valentine, and that makes her feel special. Versus now she has Valentine like all the rest of the of her friends,
Yeah, it's that.
and so it's
In her case, it's that.
more of a social thing.
Yeah, it's a status symbol,
Yeah,
right? But so in the long run, Chad or Bob are not even present. Do you see what I mean?
right.
There's zero
They're
Chad or Bob. They're an
they're they're
accessory.
completely interchangeable.
Yeah. Well, no. y- What is right? If Chad has feelings and Bob has feelings, we're not talking about Chad and Bob's feelings here, are
No,
we?
no,
The in essence, their essence as a human being is completely discounted and misrepresented
right.
in this scenario. In a scenario where you want something because it will make you feel X,
Yeah, from her point of view, it's all about what can Chad and Bob do for me.
it's not even about Chad and Bob. It's the idea that Chad and Bob have checked some sort of box on the social ladder.
Right, but nothing is. What am I bringing to the table?
Well, no,
I don't know what a 10-year-old relationship even looks like.
no. In her case, it's very mild. So no feelings are being hurt here, right? But the precipice of the situation is we are already starting off on the wrong foot, right? If I did not take time to explain to her that, guess what, Chad has feelings, and how is this anything about Chad? What your idea behind this is a social construct. The fact that it is a social norm in America to have a Valentine, which is like, I'm sorry to say, completely fucked up.
Right.
Like what? That is not what in Ukraine. That is not what the holiday is about. It's about like love and like love, like real love, not status symbols and cards and candy and I don't know.
You didn't do any sort of
No,
school thing,
no.
even when I was in. So this is 30 plus years ago, we would they were very efficient about it, to their credit. And we all had little bags, little like paper bags, and we wrote our name on them and we put them at the front of the room. And then we kind of like everyone went down and put a back then you could pass out candy. Now, God forbid you pass out candy. Uh, and everyone would go all the way down to 20, 25, 30, 30 bags. And now everybody has put everything in everybody's bag. And you don't have to go around and did I do Bill? Did I do Sally? Did I do it's super efficient. But that kind of makes it methodizes it, right? Makes it it
It-
removes the artificial, oh, will you be my Valentine thing from it, because it's just your bag is just another bag in the list in the set of bags.
well, no, I mean, they will have their Valentine's party and then they will pass out Valentine's things.
Yeah.
And that's a thing here in America. But what she's talking about is having a Valentine
I know.
ask her out.
It felt more removed from any sort of idea of having a Valentine. Now, maybe at age 10, I wasn't into having a Valentine. That is also true.
What does that even mean?
But
That is messed up.
I don't know. Like,
Okay,
but later, I guess.
but if from an early age, and I'm going to get into maybe slight more aggression here, if from an early age we're teaching our children that this holiday, Valentine, that is supposed to represent love, is just like this willy-nilly thing, and then you hand out candy to all 30 kids in your class, and then this Valentine and that Valentine, and it's a status thing. If that is what we're teaching, then what is that we are actually instilling them as an idea of love, as an idea of an honest relationship that honors me as a human being on my own, in my own anonymity, right? And anonymity and whatever that word is, not anemone. Right.
I don't know what word you're going for.
In my right, if Annabelle decides to look at herself as a sovereign being, right, and and there's a word, but I'm putting the two words together in this point, right, and she decides to look at Chad as his own being. And then the idea of them coming into a relationship or even becoming each other's Valentines for, in at the age of 10 in fourth grade, you can see how it can very easily become a construct of something else.
Yeah.
The pain body of you not being popular enough to have a Valentine gets pulled into it. The pain body of everyone else having one, and now you being the white sheep or the black
sheep.
The black sheep, whatever. I'm just not good with American metaphors here.
Use as idiom.
Use as an idiom.
Yeah, I think it's anonymity.
That's being like anonymous.
Well, maybe there's another word that is like it.
If we figure it out, we'll put it on there.
Right, and Chad being its own sovereign being and then being recognized by it, as opposed to what you and I had in our relationship. I'm there to make you feel good about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, and I know we talked about this, but this goes back into that circle, right? The idea of you having me, the idea of me being your wife, was more on like, oh, I feel like shit inside, and having Tanya checks off.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it was. I mean, saying it was exclusively that is also wrong. It's not like I obviously, cared about you and your opinions and feelings and everything. But a large part of our relationship was yeah, I mean, I felt it made me feel good about myself. I mean, it made me feel good that like I was, I guess, chosen or picked, loved, all those things. Yeah. And I really needed that. I felt like I needed that.
Yeah. But to my point is there's no me as Tanya in there.
Right. I mean, it felt like there was you, but I was,
when I
but I was also,
when I pointed that out to you, when we were going through this, you were in shock. No, I know you. I love you, right? Like, but right, to me, if the relationship does not hold your sovereignty to where you're not actively living out a fairy tale of a pain body, then your relationship with the outside world, be it your partner, a loving partner, or being your sibling, or being your friend or your coworker, this is not, in essence, the truth of that relationship.
right. No, I mean, I agree with you.
And so that's what my point is it's difficult to admit, right? And right now you're still saying like, oh no, not all of it. But what I'm saying, if there's any presence of facilitation of personal satisfaction into filling the hole that is the pain body, right? In this case, it is socially expected that I have Valentine's for Valentine Day, and when I don't, then I don't feel good about myself, right? There you go. I mean, it's as easy as that. Then that is not honesty. That is not honesty, not even as a concept. But what's more important is it completely discounts Chad and Bob as human beings.
Yeah, and if both parties are doing it, they're each discounting each other.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that is not derived from both parts,
Yeah.
right? And it's not, right? It's a sneaky dishonesty. It's not like dishonesty. Like people will argue, go, well, no, that's not dishonest. I'm not walking around lying to them, right? Because that's what the definition
Right.
of
It's
dishonesty
lying
is.
to yourself.
Well, yeah, you're lying to yourself, to the idea of what is it that you're trying to gain out of this relationship.
Right. It's
And-
not so much building a relationship as it is trying to patch a hole or fill a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so it became very obvious to me that here she is at age of 10, and she's already drawing, flawed definition in what it means to have a relationship with someone else based on the fact that there's a status. America has this, I don't know if other countries do. I know Ukraine doesn't, but America has this status associated with having a spouse or having a girlfriend or having a
Relationship.
having
Yeah. I mean, especially in like high school, college, that seems like that's, you're like on the outside if you're not, because all your friends end up with boyfriends and girlfriends, and then you're the fifth wheel, third wheel, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, our older son is in a relationship, I guess, kind of. But right, but and then some of his friends are and some of his friends are not. And then, they get, he gets teased by the friends who are not that he is. And then, the friends that are in a relationship kind of like understand, like, right, they're kind of like in the same, it's like it becomes its own little circle, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we understand each other. We're not, like our own little social club
Yeah.
because we know how it is to start to date someone in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you almost kind of like, fit in here and you don't fit in here. And then, but then you get locked into belonging and not belonging, right?
Yeah.
You get into like, oh, I can't hang out with those dudes anymore because they can't accept the fact that I have a relationship. And then, okay, yeah, these people become my group because now that's a whole other situation.
Yeah. I mean, when we got together, that kind of put a wedge between some of my other my pre-existing friendships.
Mm-hmm. The ones who did not have girlfriends.
Right. Or didn't have local girlfriends at least.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. Long distance girlfriend, the same thing as not having girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah. At least that type of one. Um, but yeah, I mean, not that that friendship was worth saving, but I know it's like, oh, now you're no longer one of us, you know. Not it's not even as explicit as we're the single people and you're the coupled people. It's almost like this energetic shift, sort of.
Yeah, but on my end, and I'm not, it was just animosity towards me
I mean,
for
yes, I
taking
mean
you away from that
right. I mean, I
single
think
bud group.
yes, I think there was they needed someone to blame, and well, before Tanya, Elliot was one of us, and now he's not. So
Yeah.
it's your fault.
Yeah. And so, and I didn't, it was my first time of walking into a relationship where you had like I guess, a tight knit group of single friends.
Yeah.
Um, and so the idea of like a woman walking into this thing was basically, to them, was like an attack on
Right.
this tight knit
To begin with,
bro group.
it was like encouraged and everything. But then once reality set in, it's like, oh, I mean, I guess is it you're taking me away from them? Maybe it's not. That I spend that much less time with them alone. I guess I did, but because you were there some of the
Yeah.
time, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think.
I'm sure it shifted. I mean, obviously, it shifted my relationship with him. I
Well,
had to. There's no way around that.
Well, no, it just, think about this. Whenever you enter into a new relationship, right? That the excitement and the getting to know each other part, right? It's
all consuming.
exciting. It's all, well, I say it's all consuming, but like in that butterfly feeling like way. And so you kind of dive into each other.
Yeah, you can think of nothing else.
Yeah, you kind of dive into each other. That excitement exists in the beginning of a relationship. So by default, everything else kind of like takes second stage.
Yes, very much.
Right. And I can see that in Aiden, right? Right. That excitement of having someone in your life, and in his case for the first time, is all consuming.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, naturally you would have the things that were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your list of priorities, or where you allocated your time, fall down, because this thing is just going to take all of your time.
Yeah, this thing takes places 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not like they're even 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 anymore. Now they're like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Or maybe even non-existent.
Yeah.
Right? Like certain things, you just go, okay, I have a certain amount of hours in my day to allocate to, let's say, whatever. And to begin with, you want to allocate all of that time to this hot new thing. I say hot new thing, but a relationship.
You were a hot new thing. You still are. 20 something years in, you're still hot and new.
Hot and new.
Hot and new.
Yeah, it's because I always keep on reinventing myself.
That's right. That's true. Very true.
You're always in shock.
I was in shock. Never know what I'm going to wake up to.
I know, right? On a daily basis, you're like, ooh. And that's not.
Keep it fresh.
And stale, as opposed to stale.
Yeah.
No, I don't think a goal in a relationship is to reinvent itself. I think the goal is to grow.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like my goal is never to. That's the thing, is my goal with you has never been to be something. I hate to say it. Maybe that is a selfish approach on my end, but my goal is always to have this shit figured out, if that's even ever possible.
Right. Go ahead.
And so then, thus, right now, it's more obvious than ever. Unless I have this shit figured out, or even at least the awareness that there is shit to figure out, I cannot offer anything to you that is worthy of my offering.
Yeah. It's only like a year or two ago that really hit me. I say hit me. It was hit on me.
I just whacked you.
Right.
Whacked you into
it's,
some
we look back at the different stages of our relationship, and they were fun and interesting and exciting and whatever, but it's not what it is now.
Yeah.
And what it is now feels more honest and more open and more. I'm more me now than I ever was. I don't. I'm not. I don't have to. I was just pretending to be someone my whole life. For oh, at work I'm this person, at school I'm this person. I was myself the most at home with you, but
Still not 100%.
still not 100%. And now I don't know. I don't. It's like I feel like what what am I? Why would I be anybody other than myself right now? It doesn't even make sense.
I mean, because the fear was I would reject the true you.
Yeah. Yes. Because the fear was, which I mean, and like logically, it almost doesn't even make sense. It's like, oh, I'm going to pretend to be someone else so that this person will like me for who I think they want me to be. And it's like, oh, that's unsustainable. That's so much work and so much energy and so much effort. And it is unsustainable. Listeners, don't do that. It's unsustainable. And it's like, well, why would I want to be with someone who doesn't like me for myself in the first place? Right?
Mhm. But I mean, but also, I guess the number one question comes up to me is, how do you even determine what is it that you need to be
Right.
in order for me to like you? Like,
Yeah,
that doesn't even.
Right. I don't know.
Like,
I mean,
I'm not. Oh, there you go. We talked about this not too long ago when we were having our serious conversations. Do you remember? To begin with, I kept on telling you that this is not love, right? Like when we first got together, you have the butterfly awesomeness stage for the first 2 years, but then sooner or later, like whenever the relationship kind of settles and you start judging the flow, right? I would say there's no love, right? And what I was trying to tell you is you're living your relationship through your pain body. And at the time I was too young,
mhm.
and didn't have enough wisdom to even see what that means. But I kept on telling you, I just don't feel love from you. Like what I feel is something different than true love. Well, what I was saying is you're living your pain body through me and I'm feeling that, right? Like I didn't have the words to actualize that. And you were so confused that you're like, can you please give me a list of what
Yeah.
it means to love you
Yeah.
to make it easier for me?
Yeah.
And we have had that conversation multiple times.
Right. Because it didn't make sense to me.
And now we're just appalled by the idea that somebody needs a list
Right.
to
Because I was
know how to love someone.
right. Because I was confused. Because it felt like love to me, not knowing anything else. It right. And my idea of what love has been skewed from the start. Right.
Yeah, maybe define how you perceive that as love. Do you know?
Yeah. I mean, early on, I ended up associating like a, attention and affection and the like with love. So if I was getting attention, especially romantic attention, then to me that meant everything is great with a relationship. That was the barometer scale for a relationship, was how was the I guess physical and to some degree emotional intimacy. And that kind of summed it up, because that I had equated attention with love. If I get attention at school, then my teachers love me, not in a romantic sense, but in a I I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
No, I mean,
It,
attention equates to I feel. I think what you're not saying is I feel
right.
whatever that hole is.
Without the attention, I feel like something is missing.
A hole. Yeah,
There's a hole in my heart, in my soul, and from a very young age, I just assumed that was love that I was missing. And so the only thing that I found that felt like it filled that hole was this attention, which in a romantic setting can be translated into like affection. Um, And so for my entire life, from as young as I can remember up until just a couple years ago, it was, how can I maximize attention/affection? Because that literally is love to me.
Mhm.
And it wouldn't fill the hole. It's a bottomless pit that you could shovel all the attention and affection you want into, and it would never fill it. But it feels good, and it kind of band-aids it over for the time being.
If you're not doing any
If
processing.
you're not doing any
or
processing,
actual-
it temporarily helps. In the same way that taking a drink temporarily helps. Also unsustainable because it is insatiable. And I would get used to whatever the new bar is. I could literally never have enough. No amount would ever be enough. So it's unsustainable. It's not a way to live. You're setting yourself up for failure in this scenario.
Yeah, but I guess, if you're starting, right, whenever people talk about like, oh, going on the journey of self-discovery, like a lot of people say, oh, I have ended a terrible relationship or terrible line of 10 relationship, right? And I need to go find myself. So, right, there's this cliche in the market that once you have failed at 10 relationships or 2 relationships, you go on the journey of finding self. So then the next one is not going to be the fucked up piece of shit that all the previous 10 were, right? That's like the whole thing.
Go to India.
Yeah, go to India, discover yourself,
Meet a shaman.
Yeah, meet a shaman in Bali. That was the whole thing with the Julia Roberts movie based on Eat, Pray, Love.
I never saw it.
Yeah, I saw it on the airplane. It's an airplane
movie.
But it was written. It was written by a person and based on the true story. It was like a lady who was a spiritual teacher and a guru or whatever. And that was her story, right? And so there's, which the idea behind it has merit,
right?
However, how the market is interpreting that idea right now is total BS. Right. And so the idea is like, oh, I'll take some time and I will do me. Right. Discover me. I will find me. And that do me is basically like bullshit of like, oh, I'm going to go exercise. So I'll look better for the next person that I date.
Go to the spa.
I'm going to go to the spa because it's treat yourself time because it's all about me.
Go to vacation.
Whatever. Right. But it's basically a misunderstood cliche what it means to discover yourself. So then it's basically, I think the market is taking it. I will make it all about me. So then I am all like recharged and rested for the next.
So it's completely externalized.
It's externalized. And what, and I'm maybe taking this a little bit too judgmentally, but what the meaning behind that idea of finding me or going inside or taking time for myself is not a 2-week break or a 2 months break. It is a very, very lengthy journey into the soul, into the pits of your soul, digging and digging at something that is buried there so deep that you have no clue that it exists.
Right.
And only after you have dug through that shit. And honestly, it could be devastating depending on what you dig up.
Yeah.
And with us, it took years. After you bring that shit up, then you can actually actualize yourself. And so that the work that you do for me is not going to the spa or going to the gym and making your body look awesome for the next one in line. Or in fact, meeting someone at the gym. I mean, like, honestly, let's be honest here. Why does January go, like, oh, I'm going to go make myself awesome. No, January, you need a ego boost and everybody goes to the gym to get an ego boost. Or, I'll look at my ass in my tight new, Lululemon pants or whatever the fuck they're called. No, but,
Louis Lemon.
Whatever.
Lululemon or Louis Vuitton?
Whatever.
Louis Lemon. I think we just may start like a high-end luxury activewear brand called Louis Lemon. She go get that domain
You're-
name before this publishes.
They're missing the point.
Instead of the LV, it'll be like LL.
You're missing the
We
point.
make tights and handbags.
They have all kinds of stuff. So. They have water bottles as well,
Oh, that's right.
and shoes and suitcases.
You have a Stanley. I have a Louis Le Mans. Oh, that's a great name. Louis.
Always entertaining.
That's right. See,
No,
this is what a relationship is supposed to be about.
Me saying crazy shit and you laughing at it.
Yes.
That's what our life is about.
Yes.
Me saying crazy shit. Every day is a new discovery of what Tanya's gonna spit out of her mouth.
Louis Le Mans.
Oh, okay. Mm.
Where we were.
We're on Louis Le
we're on Louis
Mans.
Le Mans.
No, but right. What's here? Why I'm getting so passionate about the topic, and here's why I'm getting passionate is because this completely hits me where I was. The problem with me was this problem: the honesty that you do not have towards yourself, right, is so hidden, right? It's so hidden behind what seems like very kosher and socially acceptable and normalized things, right?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's
Like
it is
we
very.
have our life and social norms and cultural norms designed around to where it almost gives us zero opportunity or zero chance to see through our actions as something unkosher, right? And I'm not saying that you going to a gym is a bad thing, right? Right? Or you wearing Lululemon is a bad thing, but
Please wear Lululemon.
but right, but you would never see the idea behind the need to buy the Lululemon, or the need to go to the gym, or the need to go to the spa and treat yourself, right? Those things are just like, well, no, that is what the Instagrams and the TikToks tell us to do, is take time to discover yourself, take time for yourself, treat yourself. I have recorded videos saying like, grace to self, or, find self, or center in.
Right. But I think that the difference is that take time to discover yourself is not at the gym, is not with a tub of ice cream, is not, even necessarily on a vacation to India. The discovery of yourself, which I think is really, if we have a job here on earth, it's that, to discover ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Is, it's hard. It's probably the hardest thing that anybody does.
Yeah.
And it's only you can do it, and you don't need anything. You don't need anything. You can be locked in solitary confinement in a prison, and you've got everything you need.
Yeah.
You can sit down and meditate. You can do it in therapy, maybe, if you have someone to talk to. That might work for some people. There's, probably groups. I don't know, maybe some sort of addiction recovery thing would help some people discover themselves, if that helps get down to the root of the addictive behavior.
The behavior might not be addictive, but
yes,
it's systematic. But yeah, the addiction recovery group would be a great idea, even if you don't think you're an addict, because the whole point of that group is to uncover systematic lies to self.
Yeah.
The whole point of this, right, addiction recovery, you don't have to be an addict to go there, is to see through your own lies, right? If you are wearing Lululemons, why, right? Why do you have the need to buy Lululemons? Are they the best suitcases and yoga pants in the world? Or is there a status symbol associated with Lululemon?
I think it's been established that Louis Lemon is the best, or will be soon
What?
after we start this brand. Yeah, it's right. There's nothing wrong with any of these things in and of themselves. The whole point comes down to why are you doing it? Why are you buying it? Why are you involved with this? What's the draw to you? Is it for a status symbol? Or is it because you think they look good and they're I don't know, warm or comfortable or whatever? Is it because, oh, this brand is eco-friendly and that resonates with me and I want everybody to know that I support the eco-friendly, or this is expensive and I want people to know that I have a lot of money and I can buy these expensive whatevers, right? Because if it's for this external reason, that's probably a good sign that that's not a good reason.
Well, you're hiding something behind that reason,
There you go.
right?
That's a better way to word it.
Yeah. And we have kept on touching on this over and over and over. The same actions of buying Louis Vuittons could be a completely kosher thing, right?
Right.
If they are eco-friendly and if they are the most comfortable yoga pants and suitcases there is in the world, right? That's fine. But if there's ... something else behind them, then that's where evaluation needs to take place, right?
Yeah.
Like in Annabelle's case, if her idea of having a Valentine is based on a social status symbol that is associated in elementary school with having a Valentine versus not having Valentine, that is a wrong way or the wrong reason to want a Valentine. And what's worse is much less involve another person into it, right? In this case, Louis Lemon wants to be involved because they get thousands of dollars from you on these expenditures that you're blindly, charging your card to. But in Chad's case, Chad is there as an accessory. You're not paying Chad thousands of dollars for him to become an accessory.
Right.
Chad is there being utilized for free at his own free will and expense, and in fact is being taken advantage of.
Right. I mean, it's very possible that they're both taking advantage of each other, and that Chad also wants to have a girlfriend in this case for his status symbol, and Alice wants to have a boyfriend for her status symbol, and so that doesn't really make it great, right?
Yeah.
Just because they're both knowingly going into this, basically using each other, that's better than not unknowing, I guess, but it's still not great.
No, but right. And and there's the saying of young love, right? People say that a lot. And then the question is, what do people mean by that? What do they mean by young love, right? It's like immaturity and unknowingness, and you do things on a whim based on hormones, and you don't really think through things, right? But at the same time, that young love behind it carries propagation of your personal bullshit, or what I would refer to as a pain body, right? You're blind to the wisdom within. You're blind to usage of other people, right? Both of you are just, flopping in the wind over there, just trying to make shit happen. But you're setting a wrong precedence on what it means to be you, on how much evaluation you're doing right from the get-go, right? Like right from the beginning when you're starting a relationship. In Annabelle's case at the age of 10, right? What does it mean for me to have a relationship? And her starting point is, oh, it's a status symbol. Well, you're right. We're already starting off on the wrong foot. So come 5 years from now, when she does have a boyfriend, what does that mean? Is Chad recognized there as a human being? Right? Now, I'm not trying to make this into like, oh, this happened to me, so I'm trying to save the rest of the world from doing it, right? Because that is the essence of our relationship. But no, I think it's the essence of all relationships.
I think so. I think this is, to say it's common is an understatement. I think this is basically almost every relationship out there.
Yeah. Right. You subconsciously, right? I'm not saying this is a vicious, malicious attempt to subjugate somebody and then disrespect them, right? But it is disrespectful. I would find that disrespectful. You're not seeing Chad for who Chad is. There's no Chad in the picture. The Chad is a social symbol, right? But so yes, it's not a malicious intent, but it's a blind action when not seen through your own pain body.
Yeah.
Really what it
Yeah.
comes down to. And so, I would, it would be very difficult to admit to everybody that what they have in their life is a lie. Their relationships are, let's say, a lie would be kind of like the far end scale, right? Which is judgmental and difficult to admit. But somewhere on that scale, if you're willing to admit to something, not completely honest.
Right. I mean, yeah. And it's insidious because when it soothes your pain body, when it hits that spot and it feels good, it feels like love. It did to me. Or I had a skewed definition of love. And so as far as I knew, this was love. I didn't know any better. And like you can make this scale of over here is this psychopath, sociopath who's actively, intentionally, maliciously using people for their own benefit, and they don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
You don't even see, like, there's
like
zero chance of seeing through, and
Yeah,
it's
like-
completely like freight train.
no, like they know exactly what they're doing.
they know what they're doing.
They know exactly what they're doing. They're in this relationship to get X, Y, and Z out of it, and and okay, I have to put in A, B, and C just to maintain it, but I don't want to. But I'll do that. It's all cold and calculated, and
Yeah.
it's intentional and it's deliberate.
I guess we've known people like that.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you can do with those people.
I don't know, but
as far as
it's
having
not,
them see
what
through
we're
that.
talking about is not even that.
Yeah.
But take this continuum all the way down, and at some point, it's like, well, you're not over here. You're not at this far end where it is. You are a fully individuated person, Jungian in style, individuated, individuated.
Individualize, I think.
I
didn't read.
You've reached your. I think it's individuated. Individual.
I didn't read
Whatever.
Young's books. So I don't know.
You are a whole self, and your partner is a whole self, and your relationship is two whole selves coming together,
Mhm.
as opposed to you're 80% complete, but you complete me.
Yeah.
Like the idea of someone else completing you is like a big red flag, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sure, you can enjoy each other's company, you can, all these things, but if someone else completes you, that's a problem, right? Because that means you're not a whole person, and no relationship's going to last forever, even if short of both of you dying in old age simultaneously. One of you is going to either leave the other or die first. Sorry, fact of life. So at some point, you will either be dead or without your partner. What then? You're not complete.
In most people's
Definitionally, because this person completes me.
in most people's case, they will just go searching for someone else, right?
Right, but
And that's
I mean, yeah,
right.
I guess.
That's the whole point of upgrading new relationship, going to the new relationships, is you always feel the hole inside of you. And the second that 2-year or 3-year butterfly stage wears out.
Yeah, it's easy for that honeymoon phase to fill all the holes.
Yeah, to begin with, it does fill all the holes, right? Because everyone, the person on this end is trying really hard, and then you're trying really hard, and you're trying to put out a story of self that is not true, and they're trying to pull out a story of self that is not true. And then 2 years in, guess what? Both of you are really tired of trying to pretend to be someone else.
Yeah, I mean, to begin with, it's like the other person can do no wrong. Oh, it's so cute when she farts under the sheets. And 2 years in, it's like, oh God, she's farting under the sheets again.
Yeah.
Not that you fart under the sheets or anything, but I'm just trying to come up with a silly example.
I could fart under
You
the
could
sheets.
fart on the sheets.
Sometimes I fart under the sheets, I guess.
I've been known to do it from time to time as well.
As long as you don't move the sheets, I think
Oh,
you're
you don't move the
fine.
sheets. Don't bump it out.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on that. That's my fault.
No, right? But you,
To begin with, any sort of little thing is completely overlooked, and in fact, it's cute.
mhm.
But 1, 2, 3 years in, it's not cute anymore. It becomes a thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he was never honest, right? And that's what I want to say
Well,
is,
it was never honest, and the that I don't know if it's hormones or endorphins or what, but that honeymoon thing it makes you don't care. It makes you overlook all that stuff. Which I don't know, if it wasn't for that, maybe two people would never get together. I don't know.
do you think that is like the
Evolutionary.
evolutionary design of humanity is
It's
to
like, okay,
lower some sort of threshold that you actually have for real, just so you can have children and propagate
the
humanity
species,
forward?
I think it might be.
And then later you're like, okay, you're done with this person. Let's move on to the next one to propagate humanity with the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
I
I
mean,
think that there's
I know that's kind of nefarious, but it always feels that way.
But I mean, if it was, okay, well, let's actually, have some hard conversations and just discover each other and work on ourselves, most people are not going to jump into that.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound fun.
I think I do not know the statistic, so I could be right or could be wrong, but I would bet the majority of relationships and marriages end after that initial honeymoon phase flops over.
I don't know.
If you end up getting married too soon, then you divorce because that heaven singing kind of closes the door. And then of course they say that your life has a 7-year cycle. Or everything has a 7-year cycle. So a lot of times on the 7-year cycle, things you tend to have this evaluation like aha moment. I think your higher self just kind of nudges everything within the 7-year period. And so I bet a lot of them end within the 7-year period or within the first, 1 or 2 year period.
There's probably some sort of like
Graph.
I can flash up here about how long marriages last. I'm curious how long marriages last, if there's a difference based on if they got married like within 6, 12 months of meeting each other versus like 2, 3 years after meeting each other.
Yeah.
If that honeymoon phase passed after they were already married, is that better or worse for the marriage than if the honeymoon phase passed while they were still dating but before they were married?
No,
if it passes while you're still dating and then you still decide to get married, maybe that's more of a, okay, well, we actually know who we're marrying.
No, I think that's the key.
Yeah.
Is you have to date someone for at least a year or two, however long this honeymoon phase lasts. So then when you are proposing to them, you actually know the true self. And I'm not saying that person is a lie, right?
Right.
But there's some sort of suppression of the cellular level of your brain.
On both sides, yeah.
Yeah, no, on both sides.
And on both sides and in both directions. Like, it's suppressing from let's say me to you. I'm changing who I am to some degree to impress you, to woo you.
Mm.
And at the same time, I'm changing what I calling them boundaries isn't even the right thing, but what I like and don't like in order to accept more of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you're doing the same thing too. And so it's basically like, it's how can we match even more? Right.
Yeah. From the fake
sort of,
standpoint, right?
And once that chemistry starts, sort of some sort of massive breach or trauma or something, that just goes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, to begin with, I was thinking whenever I started my relationship with you, and you were, my first serious relationship, like marriage stereotype. There was a part of me that couldn't wait to actualize myself into the idea of how I thought a marriage should be.
Me as well. Me as
There
well.
was this idea of like, oh, my life will start
Right?
when I get married, and
There-
then we will have a household together, and right, subconsciously I have this idea, and maybe this is from the women's standpoint. We want to run the household, and I'm type A, so everything has to be clean and organized, and dinners and plates, and there's excitement in just starting a life together.
I mean, I felt the exact same thing. I mean, when I think about it now, I keep picturing our last house.
Oh, Russ house. I mean, to begin with, it was apartment.
Yeah, to begin with, it was an apartment. I mean, but
No,
but I mean, I have that too. It's not about dinners and plates, but it's about doing things to the house, and d- there's all these like things that.
yeah, like
But
doing a life together.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, right. And I was thinking, to begin with, the idea of, right, in the sense, the idea of you being there to do this with me was not really about you, right?
right.
You were
It was
there, but I was playing out an idea of a story of what it means to have a
Yeah.
house and what it means to have a husband, right?
yeah,
And in that case, you can't say that that's love or that has anything to do with you. I'm glad that you're doing that with me, but you cannot say that that's love, right? That's just like, okay, well, the two of you are in a relationship and running a household together, right?
Yeah.
But you have to be honest about what that is,
right.
right?
And there's nothing, I guess, in and of itself. There's nothing wrong with with that if you're honest about what it is,
Yeah.
right?
To begin, but to me, that did go into definition of a husband and wife. That, oh, the two of us will run a household and a husband is responsible for these things, right? Like women have that thing. I see this in my mom, and I'll have it like, oh, well, the men are responsible for taking care of shit, like
Fixing shit.
fixing shit, right? And so the second women's idea of that doesn't hit out. And what I'm noticing
Got
right
your
now,
own gender stereotypes here.
no, but that's a pain body.
You do the cooking and the cleaning. I'll mow the lawn and fix the toilet.
Yes, but that has been ingrained into, I think, is starting to change. But the older society, the baby boomers of America, and then in Ukraine, that is almost like a survival 101, right?
Right.
Like the husband has to be handy because guess what? You're not going to call a plumber. You're not going to call the heating guy. You're not going to have someone shoveling your coal. You're not going to have someone working on your well pipe. Whatever, right? What Ukraine is men are very macho because guess what? You don't survive if they're not.
Right.
Right. And so the second the idea of man not living up to the Ukrainian standard of a macho potential comes through, then that's a whole thing.
Right.
Right. Like, oh, you don't want to marry a weak
I mean,
one that doesn't know how to do
that's not
plumbing.
marriage material.
Right.
Right.
But what that is
I mean,
living a pain body.
Right. Here, it's maybe not that, but it's like, maybe more based on, do they have a good job? Do they, do they have a nice house or nice car? Do they have a lot of money? Maybe it's more money or income potential here.
Yeah.
Well, a doctor, a lawyer. Ooh. Oh, well, there's a, I don't want to insult any particular.
No, but
He doesn't make very much, so he's not marriage material. But a doctor, a lawyer. I mean, that's a stereotype. It's a trope. But
no, but what that is part ingrained in our society, right? And so then what we do is we live that pain body. If that is a societal norm, right? Pushed on from the parents, pushed on from the idea of who is it that you marry, then that is a pain body within you that exists.
I mean, that's pushed on from Disney cartoons.
Yeah.
You want to marry the prince.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On a white horse or whatever. Wait,
Oh, yeah.
we already had this conversation on the first
The white-
podcast.
Was it a white knight?
No.
There's a knight in shining
Knight
armor.
in a shining armor, I think, is what actually the term
Yeah.
is.
And then there's nothing about a horse then.
No, it's a horse. But I guess in the old Disney movies, he does come on a horse.
And it's usually a white horse.
It's usually a horse, I guess.
Bucephalus.
Hmm?
Bucephalus.
Bucephalus is from where?
Alexander the Great's horse.
Oh,
right?
okay. Oh, and that after party, right?
Yeah.
Is that
There's that too, yeah.
the double stuff? Yeah. No, right? But the Disney cartoon sells that. The man is supposed to save you and rescue you and whatever, right? I had that not necessarily, I guess we already talked about it, right? My pain body was, oh, it, in Ukraine, there's no one to rescue me. Right? I grew up very independent, and so there was no rescuing. And so the idea of a man, like I think if I was living the pain body and a man came and offered me to rescue me because I was living in that pain body as an active thing, I probably would have taken it. Probably would have taken to, you almost go into that victimhood mindset of like, you're incapable and, like there's a path that takes you there.
In a very disempowering way.
Disempowering. Yeah, you're disempowered, you're dependent, you're incapable. And there's this man
Yeah, and
on the horse
you basically
saving you.
in that modality, you basically surrender your
Sovereignty
in order to fulfill this story.
Yeah.
That for whatever reason sounds good or feels good or soothes the pain body.
You sold yourself on it,
Yeah.
either through Disney cartoons or, let's be honest, just something that got triggered in you when you were a child.
Sure.
Right? Unsafety got triggered with me and the child, but because Ukraine did not have Disney cartoons, I didn't have an idea that the prince was going to come and save me. Right? So,
I mean, there's the same thing from the stereotypical men's perspective. Is a lot of men want to or need to be a savior. They need to feel like they're.
There's a damsel in distress, and I'm going to save her.
Yeah, it isn't so much about her. It's about I need to feel like I'm saving her. I need to feel like she's not so much. I don't even think it's so much to. It really has nothing to do with her.
But in my case, it has nothing to do with the knight.
It's
right?
not to put her down and make her dependent on him. It's that if I can save someone, I feel better about myself because now I'm worth something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm needed. Yeah. I'm strong.
I'm strong. I'm looked up to. I'm admired. I'm whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe worshipped. Maybe whatever. However, that could go a bunch of different ways that are all very related.
Yeah. Right. But
again, you get someone with that savior complex and someone with that victim complex.
Explosion.
Ooh. I mean, well, on one hand, it's a perfect match, but on the other hand.
No, it's the clusterfuck of shit at its truest form.
But they will be drawn to each other.
They'll be drawn to each other, but so then one another can discover what they're doing and how dishonest that relationship is. To me, that is the epitome of the most dishonesty.
But yeah,
those two complexes that match each other coming together.
They will come together. They will come together with this attraction, but at the same time, I think they will explode.
In the most magnificent way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the whole point of them coming...
We've known some of these.
Yeah. The whole point of them coming together is so within that explosion, you have a chance to see through it, right?
In a higher cosmic sense, yes. It is absolutely that. It is your higher self going, okay, well, the best way for you to really understand where you're coming from is to meet someone either to save you or who needs to be saved or whatever your situation is. And then you get to really live it and experience it. And hopefully on the other end of this, you'll go, oh, okay, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I wanted or thought I wanted these things because they helped fill these holes. Turns out there are no holes. That's the spoiler alert. There are no holes.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of digging to figure that out.
This is an interesting metaphor. It takes a lot of digging to figure out there are no holes.
Yeah. Yeah, but in the meantime,
it sure feels like there are holes.
Yeah, but in the meantime, think about the tornado of clusterfuck of shit that it creates.
Yeah.
Of how many people you bring into living your lives through marriage, through having children, through having a relationship with friends, through work, all while you're living the lie that you're one to begin with unfamiliar with, right? But there's that's a cliche now in America, like, oh, all the women who want to be rescued, right? And then like they're like, oh, mom was drawn to the bad guy, that's a whole thing. It's like, no, you have like damsel in distress complex.
Yeah,
you're not drawn to the damn guy to the bad guys. You want to be rescued. And then, well, guess what? That's a digging you need to do on your end. That has nothing to do with the guy. He's an accessory to your own murder scene. You're just murdering yourself inside.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm very passionate about it. And, it comes through, I guess, in this is because with me, the only way that I think it works for somebody to stop lying to themselves is to have this amount of energy and this amount of passion to go, fuck this shit. I'm going to stop lying to myself. I am done lying to me. I'm done having these relationships around me that are total lies and total scams. And I'm going to actually do me, not go out to India and, eat some naan bread or whatever. And not buy, Louis Le Mans, but actually go inside and figure out why do I have this hole inside of me, right? Which is really what our whole podcast is about, is figuring those holes.
Yeah.
Right. But Valentine's Day and nights on horses and damsel in distresses are just such a normal situations, like,
right. It's
where you don't even see them for what they are.
Right. I mean, nobody thinks twice about those being bad, or trying to think of a better word than bad. Troubled ideas. There's a lot of
nefarious intent.
Right. It's like, well, I mean, they make, I don't know if they still make Cinderella.
You know what? I think Disney has tried to switch their subjects a little bit more.
Yeah.
To where there's women empowerment. But this is not about women empowerment. That's another thing, right? It takes you to the opposite side of that. It's like, oh, I don't need to be rescued. Guess what? Which was my thing was, there's no such thing as somebody who can rescue me, because guess what? My idea was all men are fucked up. So guess who's responsible for rescuing me? Me. And so my whole life was, I'm going to rescue myself. And that's another pitfall, right? That's another pain body.
It's the flip side of it, yeah.
Yeah, and the pain body on the other end of it is, guess what? I feel like I need to be rescued by my own self. And so then thus, I am designing my life to where I'm controlling the circumstances and I'm controlling the outcomes and I'm controlling all the little nuances of my life so I feel safe.
Yeah.
At the core of it, guess what? I don't feel fucking safe. Ever.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, I need someone to rescue me, and damn it, I'm going to rescue myself. Sound like opposites. I guess in one dimension they are opposites, but they're both, along with, and I need to rescue someone, along with any of these things, they're all, the common thing here is I feel incomplete unless X, especially if X comes from someone else.
Yeah.
Unless I am saving someone, unless I am saved, unless they have a lot of money, or unless they look a certain way, or unless these are all very shallow ones, but there are deeper ones that are harder to identify. Unless they love me in a certain way, unless they show their love to me in a certain way.
Yeah, but the truth is, we're not even seeing through the shallow ones. Like, we're not even seeing through Louis Le Mans. We're just gun ho,
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
We're buying our Stanley Cups and we're driving our Teslas for the wrong reason. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Stanley Cups or Teslas or Louis Le Mans. More power to you, right? But what is the reason behind it?
That's the reason, right?
Right.
You're doing it probably because it makes you feel something.
Yeah.
What does it make you feel? And if you don't do it, well, how do you feel? Why do you feel that way? Well, dig down, figure out the reason why you feel that way.
Yeah. And it's the hardest thing to,
right. It's
like, to begin with, I think there is almost like this societal norm that is designed around normalizing functioning in a pain body, right? The fact that consumerism exists and materialism exists, right? Society goes, oh no, that's perfectly normal to go and buy Louis Le Mans and buy your Stanley Cups, right? And buy your whatever. I don't even know what else people buy out there. Do you know what I mean? And so the idea behind filling holes with shallow things, or taking time for yourself, or treat yourself, or do a spa day, or take a, India discovery journey trip. The materialism and consumerism has been so mainstreamed as normalcy,
Normalized.
that it would be impossible to see even through like the shallow, as simple as like buying specific brands or buying specific things as anything but normal. Like, oh, of course I would buy, whatever. Because why not?
Yeah. I mean, that's in the West, the marketing and advertising, it just makes it is so normal. In fact, it's weird to not to. It's weird to not to go buy whatever the hot new thing is, especially if you can afford it. And even if you can't afford it, that's what financing and credit cards are for. It's really nefarious.
Yeah, but in this case, think about the relationship you're having with goods in your house, so the clothes that you wear, right? And how much of it is status based, in order for you to make yourself feel better about how you actually feel inside.
That's the thing. It's really about how you feel inside. You're not, why are you whatever you're wearing? Is it because it has a big brand on it so that other people can see it? Is it because it's comfortable? Is it because it's expensive, or it's inexpensive, or it's you like the color, or the color complements your skin, or it makes your butt look good? These are all, valid reasons, in as much as these are reasons that people use, but some of these reasons are not so great.
Which one of those reasons is great?
Comfort. I think comfort's a decent reason to buy clothes, to wear clothes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Right. But especially if it's so that other people see X,
Or perceive X.
or perceive X, whether
Yeah.
X is the label or the price tag or the butt.
Yeah. I mean, how many conversations do we have with people? And we don't have that many conversations with people, but just like in passing. And the conversation is to showcase everything we do and everything we believe in as a symbol, as a status symbol, as the showcase of their righteousness.
Right. And that could be anything from something that they own to something that they do, whether it's, spending a lot of time at work, or spending a lot of time on church related things, or
being a sports mom,
sports
or
mom.
being a coach as a dad.
Right. That was
right?
that's like it becomes an identity.
Well,
it
becomes as a status symbol of look at me. Or like, oh, look how good of a mother I am because I'm doing this for my children, right? And at no point is it actually about your children, right? At no point you being a good mom and providing them a good meal for lunch, or driving them to soccer is about them.
Right.
It truly about them.
Right. I mean, they may benefit from it. Sure.
Right.
They get the ride, and they get the food, and they get all these things. Yes. So yes, they may benefit from it, but the true reason is deeper, and it's hard to uncover. It's so easy to lie to ourselves. So easy for me to lie to myself about this and go, "Oh no, I'm doing it because for them, or for this or that," but it's not.
No.
I mean, I guess it could be, but it's usually not.
No, it's probably all the time not. Do you know anyone who has done things, period, as opposed to how it makes the family look, how it makes
Right.
my son look, how it makes me look, how it makes my butt look?
Right? Because I think if you're doing it for the right reason, you're certainly not drawing any attention to it. You're not going, "Look at me." You're not even talking about it. Like, I get the impression that, from what little I know about Mother Teresa, is that she would have been perfectly happy doing what she's doing in complete anonymity. It wasn't anonymity, yeah. Like anonymous. Nobody, if nobody ever knew the name Mother Teresa, That is perfectly cool with her. She can just continue her work. It's
Okay.
not to her. It's not. I'm building the Mother Teresa brand.
Brand, right?
I mean, on the other hand, in as much as having some fame and notoriety in a good way could help her cause, then maybe she was for that. But I wasn't. The fame was not the goal. The goal
Yeah.
is how can I? What did she do? Build schools and hospitals and help. I don't know exactly what she did, but she's out there doing the good work, helping
Yeah.
impoverished people. And if fame can further that goal, okay. But it's certainly not fame for the sake of fame.
Well, fame in a sense that, like, okay, if I'm known for doing this, I'm more likely to draw investment.
Yes,
So I get more money.
That's what I mean.
To have more hospitals.
Fame is nothing more than a way to further the cause. It's not fame so that everybody loves me.
Yeah.
Which I imagine a lot of Hollywood is probably on that other side of that.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
There's nothing wrong with fame in and of itself. I don't like even growing up, I was like, do you want to be rich or do you want to be famous? I'm like, I want to be rich. I don't care about fame. I'd rather be rich and anonymous than famous. I don't want anybody to know me. I just want the money. But which sounds at odds with it. I wanted deep love and affection from a very small number of people. I didn't want it from the world. That was me. Other people, different. But
yeah. I mean, with me, it was always safety based, right?
Yeah.
Everything that I struggled with was safety based. So anything that something would happen to me that would threaten my safety. Obviously, it didn't, but the pain body was open.
Right.
So, everything was perceived safety based. So
Yeah,
if
that's the
somebody would
thing.
do something, and then I would speak up if I had a voice. I could have a voice. But then if I would do something, if something were to happen to me and I couldn't speak up, then it was somebody else's responsibility to speak up, which is what you and I basically struggled with our whole life.
Yeah.
And then it was on you because if I can't protect myself because this is not my place to say anything, it's on you.
Yeah.
And you specialize in not saying anything.
Yeah.
So, because with you, the pain body is, if I say something, they will not love me.
Yeah.
So I can't say anything.
Right.
So yeah. So in our case, just like that exploding, cosmic,
we had
boom. We're drawn together,
right
cosmically
they
for that reason.
complement each other in a different way.
Yeah, well, they just feed on each other to make it super obvious from the higher self standpoint of, look what you two are doing. You're just living this bullshit lie, right?
Yeah.
And once you reach that point of pause, and maybe this is what the section that I wanted to add on or to end on, is once you reach that point of actualization of seeing through your own bullshit behind, like, to start with small things like Louis Lemons and Stanley Cups, right? And then later, what else, right? You can go, okay, well, if I'm doing the butt thing for the purpose of my butt, why do I want other people to see my butt, right? Why am I walking around showcasing my butt with the Louis Lemons on them, right? Why am I trying to draw attention? Do I feel that I need this attention?
Right.
And then
there's some, you're hoping to get something out of it. It's to fill some sort of hole.
Yeah. And then if you start with the surface base, like the easy shit, right? And I know I say easy shit. Society has normalized it so much to where it would almost be impossible to see that. Why wouldn't I want my son to be a doctor or a lawyer? Why wouldn't I want to have the nicest car? Why wouldn't I want to have the fanciest backpacks?
The question, but the question isn't why wouldn't I? The question is why do you?
Yeah. Why do we?
There's nothing wrong with being doctors and lawyers and driving fancy cars and having a nice butt and wearing Louis Lemons. There's nothing wrong with those things if they're not for a bad reason.
What are you hiding behind it? And now, once you remove the hiding, once you uncover the hiding, and you're still a fan of Louis Lemons, please feel free, right? I'm not against Louis Lemons. Buy all you want. But uncover the reason behind everything first. And that is the hardest thing to do, right? To know thyself is the hardest thing to do. Because guess what? We spend a lot of times trying to hide thyself from ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like the
That's what
epitome
we
of
do
life.
all day, every day is
Yeah.
try to hide it, try to numb it out.
Yeah, the
Try to
epitome of whole
distract.
life is to distract and not know thyself.
Yeah, I mean the entire industries are built around distracting us. Our whole
Mhm.
life in at least the Western world is built around, well, 8 hours a day I'm asleep. Then I wake up, gotta scramble, gotta make my coffee, get my kids off to school. So I'm busy. I'm not thinking about myself. I'm not thinking about what's really going on inside. Then I gotta go to drive to work. I'm sitting in traffic. I'm all angry. I'm at work for 8 hours. I'm so busy. I can't think about it. Then I'm driving home, more traffic. I'm more angry. Then I get home and I'm just exhausted. And we eat. Maybe I gotta cook. Maybe my spouse has cooked. Then we eat and we talk about and we complain about our days. And then we got nothing to do, so we'll have drink some, and then we'll just watch Survivor or something because that's mind numbing something to watch. Numb, and then it's time, and then I'm so exhausted. And we go to bed and repeat. Where's the looking inside in this schedule?
But we control our life. Like, we are in charge of our own destiny.
Right.
So if that is the path that we're choosing to live, the question is why?
Right.
Why are we trying to stay busy?
That's the thing, is I think we all try to inject more busyness in order to not feel.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you can numb it out with alcohol or with drugs or whatever. That's easy, and that's more obvious
Mm-hmm.
than numbing it out with work or with your kids or with exercise or with shopping. Those things are less obvious numbing agents.
Yeah.
Or sleep.
Yeah. Well,
There's nothing wrong with sleep. There's nothing wrong with exercise. There's nothing wrong with work or cooking or helping your kids. There's nothing wrong with these things. And yeah, you probably got to do most of these things.
mm-hmm.
Definitely got to sleep. Probably have to work. If you have kids, you really got to help them out.
Yeah.
These are required in order to live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
the question is, and this is what this says, how much blindness do you want to have behind your actions? Knowing, and this is what I guess what I want to point out, is that seeing through your blindness will allow you to start to see the dishonesty behind your relationships with everyone else, but in truth is with yourself.
Yeah.
And then the question is, that's it. How much blindness do you want to live in? And who is it serving? Like, that's the thing, is like, after you see one thing through yourself, you go, wait, who is this serving?
That's the thing, is it becomes, to me, it becomes silly. It's like, oh my gosh, that was weird. What was that about? Well, and no amount of logic can make it make any sense, because it's like, it just seems so bizarre to have lived that way. And that's not saying that I am not still living that way in oodles of ways that I am still unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
But once you bring some awareness to it and you're like, oh, I was totally doing that for this, messed up reason, then it makes it easy to let that go. Once you notice it and identify it. But we just carry on our lives blindly. We just carry on, well, I gotta work harder. I mean, that's something that is encouraged in Western society.
Yeah.
Maybe less so these days, but there was a time, I think, from the 80s to the middle of the 2000s, where it was like, working harder is a good thing in and of itself. That was the sentiment.
Yeah. Well, that made you a better person if you worked harder.
It made you a better person.
Yeah.
in the eyes of society and in the
Yeah.
eyes of yourself. I'm a better person because I'm working harder.
Yeah.
I'm putting in more time and more hours, and
Yeah.
I'm going above and beyond.
In Ukraine, my dad was raised that way. Right. He was born in the 50s. And then when he moved to the United States, that was still the sentiment like, oh my gosh, I'm going to work hard and look how good I am for working harder. But he never saw through that. He
Right.
never saw through
And there's
why.
nothing wrong with working hard.
Yeah. No, but
there is something wrong with look how good I am for working hard.
Yeah.
There's a subtle difference there.
Yeah.
None of these things are wrong or bad in and of themselves. It's all about why.
And sometimes it's not even external. Like in some cases, you go look how good I am to other people, right?
Yeah.
Or like to your boss. But another thing is look how good it makes me feel inside for knowing that this is the type of human being I am.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of spiritually aware people walk around, I say spiritually aware, I will put quotes around that, right? The work around in righteousness, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, look
Self-righteous.
how righteous I am. I burn incense and I don't wear Lululemon and I instead buy recycled burlap, right? Or have eco-friendly yoga mats. Or look, I go on spiritual retreats and you don't, right? So there's this pitfall that as you start the spiritual journey, that pain body that was never discovered now gets propagated into this whole other field.
Yeah.
And now you're righteous for different reasons.
It's no longer, I work harder than you. Now it's I'm more.
I don't work. I work on myself.
You should go a whole day just using that voice.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, it's my birthday.
I don't think I can pull it through in my vocal cords. It hurts my aura just to talk it like that. Right. No, but there's this pitfall within the spiritual community. Like, I know, I just work on myself. Right. Oh no, you know what? Stanley Cups are not eco-friendly. So instead I have this
The first
100% recyclable. I don't even know.
The first time I ever heard about Stanley Cups when Annabelle mentioned it 2 weeks ago, she's like, "You ever heard of a Stanley Cup?" I'm like, "Yeah, the hockey trophy."
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
She's like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a hockey trophy. Look it up." And I look it up, and it's like not even the first Google results anymore. It's like it's the mugs are like,
yeah.
You search up Stanley Cup, I assume it was going to be which is massive, the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. The reason why we bring up is because once again, our children are part of whatever the social awesomeness going on right there.
Right. To her, Stanley Cup is like
a social symbol.
A social symbol. But to him, a Stanley Cup is like an anti-social symbol.
Well, he still has it, though.
He has it, but kind of begrudgingly. Because he's like,
you think so?
I think it was, I'm going to get made fun of if I have a Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, right? There's the Stanley Cups, but not too long ago there were hydro flasks, right?
Right.
Oh yeah, and then there you go. There's this whole. I mean, we're getting off topic here, but there's this whole market out there of like, oh, you're not eco-friendly and environmentally aware if you are using plastic bottles, and you have to use reusable, water bottles and whatever, right? And then there's this righteousness built into it. Like, I am the type of person that does that, but you're not. And then therefore, what, right? Now, think about this. For all extensive purposes, yes, refilling your water bottle and not reusing, one-time use plastics or styrofoam
right.
for
Obviously,
water is obviously a good thing.
Better for the environment.
Right. But at the same time, if we're not doing justice to ourselves and evaluating why we're imposing this opinion, one, onto ourselves, and then two, much less the rest of the world,
right? That's
a pain body, uncovered pain body.
Right.
That is
you can do the right thing for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
That's the paradoxical lesson here. Is you can be doing all the right things for all the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And externally, it looks great.
Yeah.
Internally, it may even feel great because you're patching up these holes, but it's still for the wrong reason. And there's work to be done there to figure out. But why?
I mean, I know we should be wrapping up, but I will bring this up. We know someone who goes to church because they want to come across as righteous. and super Christian, and look how Christian we are, and look how good we are. We go to church all the time, and we're that type of family.
Yeah.
I mean, we know several people, but I think the world is full of those people.
Yeah. It's not.
Right. So think about it. Going to church is technically the right thing. How would you ever say going to church is not the right thing? But
Right.
why are you going there?
So more church is obviously better than less church.
Yeah.
There are the people who, are religious only enough to go on Easter and Christmas,
Yeah.
or, not go at all. Then the Easter and Christmas, then we go every Sunday, and then we go above and beyond. Look at us.
And you announce that to the world.
And you announce that to the world. So it's not so much about doing it. It's about making sure everybody knows that you do it.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Mm-hmm. And how involved you are in the church. Oh, we do this. Now we only go to church. We also participate in this, and we do this, and that. Yeah.
And we donate to this charity and that charity.
Yeah.
If you tell people what charities you donate to, then how much? Right.
Yeah.
I saw I think it was a Q&A on Eckhart Tolle.
Mhm.
And someone was asking about, donating to charities. And he's like, I donate to charities. I'm not going to tell you which ones they are. I do it anonymously.
Yeah, I do too.
And it's like, there you go.
Yeah.
So there's no ego in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, sure, I donate to charities. But I'm not telling you where I donate. I'm not telling you how much I donate. The only reason this is even coming up is because you specifically asked me this.
Yeah.
And even the charity doesn't know it because they just get an anonymous donation. It's not like, ooh, Eckhart Tolle donated to us. It's right.
Right.
Then it's now you can still do that anonymously, and that could still feed a different hole. But it's not feeding now the world knows that I'm the type of person who donates.
Yeah.
Hole. Now maybe it's I feel better because I donated to starving children. It could still be that.
Yeah.
I don't think it is with him, but
yeah, I think Eckhart Tolle probably is not there.
Right. But so it's a little less obvious in that case.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole showing off what charity you donate to. Oh, wait, sure, donate to charity. That's a great thing, right?
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. That's obviously a great thing.
Yeah.
But we're way off the topic of relationships.
We could turn it into a whole other podcast. Or we could just wrap it.
Make it just wrap it.
Okay. Well, there's that.
There's that. So be aware.
Yeah.